How's it going, everybody? I'm Lewis and we've got a new poll from the Old School RuneScape team, so let's go ahead and vote in this poll. So, this is Old School Content Poll 38, Jad 2, Deadman and Zeah. If you want to know a little bit more information about the questions in this poll, please wait to the end of the video where I'll provide a link to my developer blog video which goes through the entire thing. So, first of all, question 1. Should a fight cave expansion which allows you to continue past to stock Jad, completing additional waves to reach an even fiercer boss, be added to the Zeah fight cave? The reward for beating this incredibly challenging boss would be a new best in slot cape for range, magic and melee. Now I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I was thinking, okay, I love the idea of making a Jad 2. Everyone sees Jad as a huge achievement, and progressing past Jad, killing more, and then fighting another boss is going to be an even more incredible achievement. And I was a little bit worried that these new capes are going to be a little bit too overpowered. However, thinking, after killing this new boss, I think they're perfectly fitting. So I'm going to go ahead and vote yes. Next, question 2. Should the PJ timer found in PvP worlds be added to Deadman mode worlds? Now, when I was doing my developer blog video on this, I was saying a PJ timer on Deadman mode doesn't seem to make sense. The wilderness is dangerous, and Deadman mode is an extension of the wilderness. Deadman mode has always been cited as a really dangerous activity and game mode for you to play. I understand the concept that players obviously want to not die as much, however, actually having it so you have a PJ timer, for me, didn't make any sense. Now, after I created my video, Zach White commented saying that he disagreed with my opinion on the PJ timer. He basically said that, sure, the game needs to be risky, but without a PJ timer, teams are unstoppable and solo players are helpless. Team players should get an advantage, but most people playing the game are just doing it solo, and they want to have some kind of chance in playing it. Which seems fair enough, really. However, personally, I think I want to stick with my guns and say this is a risky game mode, and I don't see the point in having some kind of thing to protect you this much. However, if the next two questions pass, I think my opinion would change. Question 3. Should dragons in Deadman mode have an extremely slim chance of dropping dragon claws? This will be dropped at the same rate as the draconic visage, and this would only be on Deadman mode worlds, not standard old school RuneScape. So again, I've been thinking about this question for quite a while now. I'm strongly opposed to dragon claws in old school RuneScape, and I kind of thought the Deadman mode seasons would allow Deadman mode to sometimes have dragon claws, sometimes have PvP armors, sometimes have just different rules in general. However, this question is saying, do we want it permanently in Deadman mode? And personally, I do not. So I'm going to go ahead and vote no. Similarly, with question 4, should the wilderness bosses in Deadman mode have an extremely slim chance of dropping the Statius, Morgian, and Zoriel PvP armors? And again, I'm going to vote no for the same reason as before. I think Deadman mode seasons is great for this sort of thing. They can test out weapons, armors, just any different kind of rule set. However, having it standard Deadman mode, I don't like the idea of. And I think that if it was in standard Deadman mode, people would push for them to go into old school RuneScape, and again, I'm not a huge fan of that. Next, question 5. Should the Bounty Hunter shop be opened in Deadman mode worlds? Emblems will be added to the drop tables of the wilderness bosses for use in the shop. Now, I quite like this idea. I think encouraging people to go into the wilderness in Deadman mode is an interesting idea, because really it's redundant, because you've got PvP everywhere in the game, and why would you go into the wilderness? There's dangerous monsters which will kill you, and you've already got the danger of PvP everywhere. Having this to encourage people to go to those bosses will be really interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and vote yes. Question 6. Should the Nightmare Zone ring imbues be added to the Bounty Hunter shop in Deadman worlds only? Now, a little bit contradictory to what I said with question 5, I don't think this should be added. Simply for the fact that, as far as I know, on Deadman mode worlds, you can do Nightmare Zone. So there's nothing stopping you from getting these ring imbues. The only reason I can imagine someone asking this is the fact that Nightmare Zone is instanced, whereas the wilderness bosses are not. So, if someone's trying to get those rings, then you can kill them and take whatever they've got. Whereas if they're in Nightmare Zone, there's no way of stopping them. So I'm going to go ahead and vote no there. Next, question 7. Should new Deadman mode accounts be unattackable for the first 6 hours of gameplay? However, it will be possible to turn this protection off if you choose. Now, I don't like the idea of having arbitrary protection on new players. Obviously, it's nice to have a bit of a chance when you start, but just this arbitrary amount of time just doesn't really feel like a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and vote no. Really, I think a lack of incentive to kill new accounts would be a better idea, which is what question 8 is trying to get at. In Deadman mode, if you kill an unschooled player more than 40 combat levels lower than you, you should be prevented from receiving a bank key. However, if they're schooled, you will still receive a bank key for killing that player. Now, I'm a little bit torn with this one. I think the idea of having that lack of incentive to kill the low level player is good. However, if someone that is deliberately playing as a low level player, then they'll receive some kind of advantage of not really being attacked as much. Despite that, I am going to vote yes, because I think it does need that, and the majority of cases where you're being attacked, you will be training combat as well, so this would be relevant. Question 9. Should the Dragon Warhammer, dropped by a high level lizard man, be introduced into old school? The special attack of the weapon will cost 50% special attack energy, dealing 50% increased damage and reducing your opponent's defense level by 30% of their current level. And this weapon would require 60 attack to wield. Now, when I was doing the developer blog video, I was looking at the stats and saying, right, okay, so compared to all the other mid to high level crush weapons, it's fairly balanced. However, compared to other dragon weapons and the other warhammers, I would say it's slightly overpowered. I kind of like the idea of completing the dragon sets more by introducing things like the Dragon Warhammer. However, really, I've got to stop myself from that, because I don't think it will fit in that well with our current dragon weapons. A lot of our dragon weapons come in via quests. What is this? You just have to kill a high level lizard man. Admittedly, to kill the high level lizard man, I believe that they said you need 100% favour with the Shazian house. However, I don't really feel that's particularly that relevant to poll this and say, yeah, this is a fair poll. So, stopping myself from saying yes, I'm going to have to say no. Next, question 10. In fact, the next few questions are very similar. These are all talking about introducing teleports to the Necromancy spellbook. Now, I could go through all of these and assess whether or not I think it's a good teleport or not. However, I just want to completely step back for a second and say, should the Necromancy spellbook have teleports? And personally, at the moment, I think no. The Necromancy spellbook currently has a lot of reanimate creature spells, which is fair enough because it's a Necromancy spellbook. It makes sense to me that a Necromancy spellbook has Necromancy spells. Whereas if we add these teleports, it becomes the Necromancy and Teleport spellbook. Of course, we've got teleports in all our spellbooks, but I'd rather not have it in the Necromancy spellbook. So I'm going to vote no on all of these teleport questions. So, one for the Lumbridge Graveyard teleport, one for the Draenor Manor teleport, one for the Mind Altar Graveyard teleport, one for a Respawn Point teleport, one for the Mauritania Ghoul teleport, one for the Frankenstein Castle teleport, one for the West Ardoin teleport, one for the Harmony Islands teleport, one for the Forgotten Cemetery teleport, one for the Barrows teleport, and finally one for the Apatoll teleport. Next, question 21. Should the spell Wines to Wine of Zamorak, requiring 55 magic, be added to the Necromancy spellbook? This spell will convert a jug of wine to a wine of Zamorak. Now, to me, this spell kind of makes some sense, because obviously wine and wine of Zamorak, you'd imagine they'll just get converted via a spell or something. That's how a lot of things in this game work, imbues and such. However, a level 55 spell that allows you to just turn wine into wine of Zamorak will completely change the way that wine and wines of Zamorak are traded. At the moment, there's a couple of ways of getting wines of Zamorak. You either go to the Zamorak temple near Tavali, and you just telegrab it. If you try and pick it up, a bunch of Zamorak monks will attack you. The other way is killing some monsters that will drop it. Adding this would mean that every single wine jug, which is fairly cheap, will have the potential to become an expensive wine of Zamorak. So wine prices will rise, wine of Zamorak will fall, and sure, it will definitely balance out, and depending on the rune prices of this spell, it will be fine. But I think having this just introduction of wines of Zamorak doesn't really make any sense. Especially if we consider the lore. What link does Arceus and Zamorak have? Personally, I can see none. So I'm going to go ahead and vote no. Next, question 22. Should the spell Resurrect Crops, requiring 78 magic, be added to the Necromancy spellbook? This spell will give you a chance of reviving dead crops when cast. Now, I quite like the idea of this spell. It will mean that when you go and see your dead crops, you won't just think, oh no, I've got to replant these. You can just cast the spell, they'll become healthy, and they'll just go through their normal life cycle from the point that they died. Which makes perfect sense in the Necromancy spellbook because it's bringing life back. and I imagine it's not going to completely change the way that we farm, so I'm just going to go ahead and vote yes. Next, question 23. Should an outfit similar to the Lumberjack and Prospector's outfits, which provides farming experience boosts of 2.5% when all pieces are worn, be added as a reward from playing the Tith minigame? Now, I really like the Lumberjack and Prospector's outfits, even things like the Angler's outfit. I think they're great in this game. They provide a small amount of experience boost, and it just helps you along. Introducing something for the farming skill I have no real problem with, and from the Tith minigame, sounds like a good idea. However, looking at how the Tith minigame works, bearing in mind I've not personally done it, I think that the reward shop would mean that all you have to do is play X amount of fruit, and then you'll get this reward. Whereas when we compare Lumberjack, Prospector's outfit, Angler's outfit, those other outfits in game, there's some kind of random element to it. For example, with the Prospector's outfit, when you're mining, you have a chance of getting golden nuggets, which you can then spend at the shop. Whereas with the Tith minigame, I don't think there's any chance involved there. You get the points, and then you can spend them straight away. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and vote yes, because I think having these outfits is a great idea. Next, question 24. Should a seed box, an item capable of storing 6 stacks of different seeds, be added as a reward for playing the Tith minigame? Now, I think this is a great idea. It'll really save you inventory space when you go farming, and it makes sense with the Tith minigame. So I'm going to go ahead and vote yes. Next, question 25. Should grape farming, which is a new type of farming, be added as a reward for earning over 65% favour with the host city's house? And grape farming will require 36 farming. Now, I don't really see any idea why we would want this. The only reason that you get grapes is for wine. The only thing I could potentially imagine is the fact that if we get the Wines to Wine of Zamorak spell, more people will want wines, and therefore grapes will be in greater demand. And this is their way of accounting for that. However, like I said, I don't really see the point in having this, so I'm going to go ahead and vote no. Next, question 26. Should they add the option to recolour your graceful sets if you reach 100% alignment with a house in Great Ground? The colour of the outfit would depend on the house in which you have 100% favour at the time, and this recolour will be purchased with your Marks of Grace. Now, I like the idea that they've introduced purchasing this with the Marks of Grace. However, I don't really see the point in having recolours for the graceful outfit. When I saw the colours, I thought they looked disgusting, and I prefer the default version. However, I do like the idea of having something to show that you've got alignment with a house. After all that, I don't think this is the way we should be doing it, so I'm going to go ahead and vote no. Next, question 27. Should they add an additional skeletal wyvern cave that can be only accessed if you've got a task to kill the creature from your Slayer Master? I'm going to go ahead and vote yes. I think having a Slayer-only wyvern cave is a great idea. So many people are killing them, and if you get a task, it could be a pain to actually find an empty world to kill them. Question 28. Should there be a toggle to filter your boss kill count message from your message box? Now, I've never really thought too much about this, but I suppose if you're killing a lot of them, it could get in the way, especially if you're not that bothered about how many you've killed. So I'm going to go ahead and vote yes. Question 29. Should there be a chance of getting a bottle when fishing which contains a clue scroll? Now, like I said in my developer blog video, I think having skilling clue scrolls would be a great idea. However, the current clue scrolls are more or less combat clue scrolls. But I think that this is going to be passing, and even if it isn't, I think this is a decent way of getting clue scrolls. I imagine that this isn't going to be hard clue scrolls, probably medium, and that's fair enough. Next, question 30. Should they add a permanent ditch contents button to compost bins? This will allow you to ditch the contents of a bin even before it's done composting. That will make it a lot easier if you're making compost, however you want to say change it to be super compost. Finally, question 31. Should teleport scrolls be given a new, unique animation? Now let's have a quick look at that animation again. What happens is you bring up your teleport scroll, stars come around you, and a ring comes up to teleport you to your location. In my developer blog video, I said I quite like the animation, and I think providing teleport scrolls a new unique animation is quite nice, and I want that in game. So I'm going to go ahead and vote yes. Let's submit my vote, and then we'll have a look at the actual results of this poll. So it's been a couple of days since this poll came out, and we've had 40,963 votes. Out of those, 72.2% want an expansion to the fight caves, introducing a new Jad and new Cape rewards. 70.9% want a PJ timer to be added to Deadman worlds, similar to on PvP worlds. 65.5% want Dragon Claws to be added to Deadman mode. 64% want PvP armors to be added to Deadman mode. 70.8% want the Bounty Hunter shop to be accessed in Deadman mode. 62.3% want Deadman mode ring imbues to be accessed via the Bounty Hunter shop. 76.5% want new Deadman mode accounts to be unattackable for 6 hours of gameplay. 70.9% want it so if you kill a player that's 40 levels lower than you in Deadman mode, you won't get a key if they're unschooled. 84.3% want the Dragon Warhammer to be introduced by killing high level lizardmen. 88% want a Lumberjack Graveyard Teleport spell to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 89.6% want a Draenor Mana Teleport spell to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 85% want a Mind Alter Grave Teleport to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 86.1% want a Respawn Point Teleport to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 85.6% want a Mauritania Ghouls Teleport to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 85.7% want a Fenkin Strange Castle Teleport to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 88.1% want a West Ardoin Teleport to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 86.8% want a Harmony Island Teleport to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 86.5% want a Forgotten Cemetery Teleport to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 78.1% want a Barrows Teleport to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. And 84.2% want an Apatol Teleport to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 70% want a Wines to the Wine of Zamorak spell to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 83.9% want a Resurrect Crops spell to be added to the Necromancy spellbook. 84.1% want a Farming Reward outfit to be added to the Tith minigame reward shop. 84.3% want a Seed Box to be added to the Tith minigame reward shop. 82.7% want grape farming to be introduced in the Hosidius house. 87.5% want a recolor option on graceful sets if you've got 100% alignment with a house in Great Korend. 91.7% want a Slayer only Skeletal Wyvern cave to be introduced. 82% want a toggle to filter the boss kill count message from your message box. 87.3% want a chance of getting a bottle which will give you a clue scroll when fishing. 84% want a permanent ditch contents button to be added to compost bins. And 84.7% want teleport scrolls to be given a new unique animation. So, this poll has been quite interesting for me to watch. Obviously a lot, or even all of the quality of life updates have passed. Things like the Slayer only Skeletal Wyvern cave. I think they're really great updates. However, there's a few things which I either disagree with or I'm quite shocked that have passed. The Necromancy spellbook is definitely going to be very interesting to see once all these updates get added. However, I find it interesting that the Wines to Wine of Zamorak question isn't currently passing and probably won't pass. Obviously all the teleports passed, things I voted no against, but I'm not too bothered if they are introduced. When we get out of the Necromancy spellbook questions, we get to the Dragon Warhammer, which again I voted no against, but I don't think it's going to affect me too much. The questions that have really surprised me are these Deadman mode questions. For example, new accounts are going to get 6 hours of protection, whereas accounts with lower combat aren't really going to be protected as much. Even more interesting than that though are the Bounty Hunter shop ones and the introduction of PvP armors and Dragon Claws. First of all, the Bounty Hunter shop, I didn't have too many objections against that, whereas the D-Claws and PvP armors I did. However, that being said, I think that this is the perfect time we should have a I don't care vote on these polls. Because players such as myself that don't really play Deadman mode would just be able to say I don't really care about this. And finally, PJ Time is not going to be introduced into Deadman mode, which I'm quite surprised at. I imagined it would get a bit more support than just 70.9%. And similarly, with the Fight Cave expansion, I imagined a lot more players would want that. Especially for saying the amount of bosses we've had in old school RuneScape. Potentially, just a lot of people are saying, right, we're fed up of bosses, give us something different. If you've not voted in this poll yet, please make sure you go ahead and vote. This is our game, it's a community game, and every single update is voted on by us, the community. If you want to watch the latest old school RuneScape update, please click here for price checks and improvements. And if you want to watch the development blog for this poll, please click here. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and share, and if you want to keep up to date with the old school RuneScape updates, dev blogs and polls, please subscribe. I've been Lewis, thanks for watching, goodbye.